Okay. We are actually live. There's some latency with this YouTube video, so I might just not look at that. Oh, yeah, because see, it's repeating back to me.
Cheers, everybody. Welcome.
I wonder how we can do that. Maybe I'll put the volume all the way down. Okay. Hi, everybody. Cheers, Lacey.
Cheers, Hannah. Wait, let's see. Can we make it cheers? Go to the side of the camera. Yay!
This side, I'll go this way. Anyway, cheers. Okay, so we are very excited. This is our idea. We had an idea this week to come on and have a little quick 15-minute coffee talk about all the things we're excited about. And Lacey had a really great idea to make this a little bit of a series for our community. So take it away, Lace. Tell us what the book's all about.
So, Jon Kabat Zinn, who is really the father of Western mindfulness, he brought the practice over in the 70s and created the mindfulness-based stress reduction program that's used, worldwide in medical centers. It's the most research-backed mindfulness practice and program. And I have used, so I'm coming from this book called Full Catastrophe Living, and it's written by Jon Kabat Zinn. And it's kind of like this just excellent reference for all things mindful from the father of mindfulness, if you will. Um, so one of the things that has been beneficial to me throughout my years of practice, which is about 10 years now, is continuing to come back home to the foundations of mindfulness practices. So Jon Kabat Zinn has 7 different attitudes that we can contemplate to practice mindfulness through these particular aspects. So the first one that Hannah and I have been contemplating all week, and that we invite you to come into contemplation with us as well to deepen your own mindfulness practice, is non-judgment. And mindfulness is essentially defined as the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment and with a sense of kindness. And so we have to break down, well, what is non-judgment? What is judgment? And so Hannah and I have been contemplating that through the week. And I thought that it would be helpful just to read to you all so that you have it and you can hear it. Basically, what Jon Kabat Zinn says about mindfulness, and particularly the attitude of non-judgment. So I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'll kind of give you some bullet points. And what he says is that mindfulness is cultivated by paying close attention to your moment to moment experience as best as you can, and without getting caught up in your ideas and your opinions and your likes and your dislikes. And so what this does is allows us to see things more clearly as to what they actually are, instead of filtered through our distortions, filtered through our judgments, filtered through our opinions, filtered through our biases, filtered through our life experiences. And so adopting this stance really towards our own experience, it requires that we have to become aware of this constant stream of judgment and reacting to inner and outer experiences that we get caught up in. And so we have to step back from that. And so our mindfulness practice allows us that pause, and it allows us to formulate space to where we can do that, to where we can respond instead of react. Um, and
That's
so
what being present is all about. And being present is what mindfulness is. So
absolutely.
great. That's what we've been talking about. Sorry, go ahead, continue, Lacey.
Oh, I
And
love
then we'll
it.
share about our, how we've been processing this week.
Yes. And so what he says is that when we begin to practice really paying attention to our own mind, that we become very surprised and astonished, he says, even that we are constantly generating judgments about our own experience. He says that almost everything we see is labeled and categorized by our mind. And so then we react to our experiences in terms of what we think is of value to us. And so I think that that's very,
Hmm.
very important to note that we all have our own values. And some things, some people are and events are judged as good because they make us feel good for some reason. And others are condemned as bad because they make us feel bad. And so then he talks about how the rest of everything is just neutral because we don't really have any relevance to it. There's no attachment to it. And so um, teaches that neutral things get tuned out of our conscious awareness. And then we find those things boring. So if you think about something that you think is good, you can just think about it right now. I guess as a practice, let's just bring to mind something that we feel is good and take notice of how it makes you feel. And now breathe that in, breathe it out, let it go, come back to this present moment, this neutrality. And now bring to mind something that you think is bad, what's arising for you. How do you feel? So most people will feel a sense of expansion or a sense of relaxation or openness to the good things. And to the bad things, it's like, ooh, maybe there's anger or like, stay away or whatever. What did you experience, Hannah?
Oh, I feel a sense of light and expansiveness, and peace and joy, and then a feeling of constriction and dissonance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in Buddhism, they teach about how the cause of suffering is based on two things. It's trying to grasp on and hold on to the good things, the things that we want, or to push away and, try to get rid of the things that we don't want. But this state of non-attachment, the state of non-judgment, the state of just being aware and open and curious about our experiences is where true joy arises and peace flows in.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So many interwoven pieces of that. The yogic philosophy is the practice of non-attachment, being present. What was I thinking? Oh, about NLP. Like when we talk about this in NLP, that we receive, I believe it's 40 billion bits of information per day on an unconscious level, but our conscious mind can only retain 126 bits, and the rest we delete, distort, and generalize, which is why, what you're talking about too, something feels good, something feels bad. Well, it's going to be different for everybody based on our 126 bits and what else we delete, distort, and generalize. And that creates our perception of reality, our perception of the conversation that we're in. And
right.
then I always love to think about, since I was, I don't know, a teenager, I started studying, personal growth and development and these concepts, and going right into improv classes.
Yeah.
But my improv teacher wasn't about being funny. Yes, funny things would happen when you're being genuine. It was about presence and mindfulness, and that was his intentional take on it. Actually, the whole school that they came from, I believe the whole school's intention was that just genuine authenticity, and that authenticity came from being in the present moment and not pushing to be something or change something. It was what is happening in this moment. Yes, and someone is showing up on stage and doing this, you're going to take it in and go with it in the moment. And so I just love that that practice feeds into mindfulness. So Lacey and I were having this really passionate conversation, which is what we often do. And that's why we thought we need to start recording these conversations. We were having a really passionate conversation about Mindfully Austin. A lot of the times we send some questions. We always go off book because that's what we're all about. That we come from a place of mindfulness. I have this improvisation background. Her company is called Unscripted, but we would always send these like 6 questions. And we'd usually touch on those questions, but we go way off based on what
He's talking about
What?
when
What?
you're talking about when we interview someone.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and
Clarify
so
that.
we started to have a conversation about throwing those questions out the window because everything about Mindfully Austin is about being present in the moment and just seeing what arises. So, future guests, we might not be sending you a set of questions to ponder ahead of time.
Getting
You know,
unscripted even
we're
more.
getting unscripted.
And well, and so that's, I think that that's something that I've been contemplating a lot this week and really, it being intentional around, okay, what is non-judgment? And what do I judge in my life? How can I cultivate more non-judgment? And for me as a Christian and like reading the Bible and having like that interwoven into it, one of the things I've been contemplating in my faith practice is this idea of surrendering to every day being worship. And how can we do that in these simple, mindful moments? And for me, just personally, that idea of surrendering has also been connected to non-judgment to me. And it's like when I let go and when I surrender and when I open myself up, not to judge my experiences, but to trust that there's a larger God that's loving me and that there's a holy joy that's always accessible to me.
Mm,
That has been how it's been experienced to me personally this week in my own personal practice, my own spiritual practice. And so I like this idea that when we are present, then we're able to fully access all the blessings and the miracles that this moment has for us. And I think to what you were saying, Hannah, when we're sitting with someone who we're curious about their story and we're present, there's a magic that occurs just in our beingness. And you and I have talked about the difference between being a human being and being a human doing.
mhm,
It's bigger than all of us, but yet it connects us in these individual and invisible threads that we can access through being present in the moment. And we have to train our mind. And so this is what Jon Kabat Zinn says about non-judgment. He says, if we are to find a more effective way of handling the stress in our lives, the first thing we will need to do is to be aware of these automatic judgments so that we can see through our own usually unexperienced prejudices and fears and liberate ourselves from their tyranny.
mm. You know, what's really cool too is that, I mean, taking this out into relationships with people in the world, spouse, children, friends, colleagues, if you're in a state of curiosity, you can't simultaneously be in a state of judgment.
No,
And
that's
that's true for ourselves too, actually, because I will self-judge a lot because I tend to get really caught up in the doing and in the overwhelm of wanting. I'm a manifesting generator, as you know, and I have so many ideas and so much that I want to do all right now that I think that's been my life's work, is like how to just breathe and be present in the moment and not judge myself and do the next thing, lay the next brick. That's been my practice this week, is trying to notice when I'm getting revved up and judging my own self for not doing enough and get back into the beingness of it. What can I do to lay the next brick on this thing? And then stop it. Okay, on to the next thing. What can I do to lay this next brick? But I love that with people too, showing up with curiosity
yes,
eliminates judgment.
balance, right? Between being and doing, acting and trusting. And like when you were talking, it's like, I don't know, I got this vision of like being in a raft on white water, rapids or whatever. And you need your oars and you need to have some guidance of where you're going so you can navigate the rocks or the waterfalls or the cliff or whatever. But ultimately, there's this stream that will take us where we need to go. And trusting in that, I think, allows us to not only experience ourselves with more clarity and more peace and more love and less judgment, but then we're able to offer that presence to someone else. Um, I'll just tell a story about something that happened this week that made me realize about like non-judgment. What it was like kind of like an experiential feeling that I had. The other thing is like you were talking about how when you're curious, you can't be judging. Well, when we're in our sensations, we can't be in our thinking mind. And so that's one of the beautiful practices of mindfulness is being in our senses because it shuts off our thinking mind. And so we can begin to feel what's here in the present.
Mm.
And then we can get curious and question our thoughts. But I was um I was sitting in the car driving my son to pole vaulting and it was just quiet. He wasn't talking, I wasn't talking. And I could begin to feel, and he was scrolling TikTok, which I judge a lot. I'm like, I like had that, like, why are you on your phone? Get off your phone, be present, blah, 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 which is probably highly annoying to him. But I began to let that go and just be like, this is what he's doing right now in this moment. And instead of judging him scrolling on TikTok, I found myself in this sense of gratitude and non-judgment of the space that we were sharing together and how honored I was just to be in the car with him and just to
Mm.
have this almost invisible connection without words that I could feel in my heart. And it brought me so much joy. And so that's one of the ways that non-judgment showed up for me this week. And it was really funny because as we were driving, there was a street and it said surrender. And that's when I was like, oh, non-judgment is also surrendering.
Yeah.
Because holding on so tightly in fear or control or whatever, we don't have any availability to receive.
Mm. And I love that analogy about the raft and the oars too,
Yeah.
because it's okay. Obviously we want to have our goals and our direction that we're heading in and the tools to get us there. Otherwise, we're just spinning out, crashing into things, and that's definitely not what we want. But
Right.
when we can focus and use those oars and just be present in that moment, we'll be taken in the right direction.
Yeah, and that's I feel like what's been so beautiful about you and I's partnership and the way that Mindfully Austin just keeps teaching us and the community. And so yeah, it's really beautiful.
Let's see if before we end this, also I want to see if we have any one. I know this is our first live, so now you know we'll be coming on Tuesday mornings live. Let's see if we have any questions or comments um, just
And then
yet.
I can lead us in a little mindfulness practice to like just kind of close out, but also offer a practice to anyone who sees this at any point in time around how do we work with mindfulness and non-judgment specifically.
Great. And then we'd love to hear from you next week if you put this into practice this week, how that
Yes,
worked out for you.
and we'll post this so it'll be like something that you can look at later. And
Yeah.
and Hannah, I know Hannah also and I share this sentiment that we hope that this will be of benefit to you all and to anyone who sees this to deepen their own mindfulness practice and become less judgmental of themselves and other people in the world.
Yay. Take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to invite everyone just to find a good seat. So if you're sitting in a chair, you can put your feet on the ground and really feel the sense of stability, or you can, cross your legs. And the invitation is to find a straightness and a strength in your back. So you don't want to hold yourself too tightly, but you also don't want to be too loose. So you want to find a strong spine equals a clear mind. And then just feel into your body for a second. If it feels safe to do so, then you can close your eyes. And I invite you to just practice watching your breathing. So we're going to inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. As you sit in this quiet reflection of focusing on your breath, at some point, your mind is going to start trying to go elsewhere. Maybe it's saying something like, "This is boring," or "This isn't working," or "I can't do this." These are judgments. And so when they come up in your mind, recognize them. Just notice them as judgmental thinking and remind yourself of the intention that your practice involves letting go of that judgment and just watching whatever comes up, including your own judging thoughts, without pursuing them or acting on them or creating a story around them. And then come back to your breath, riding the waves of your breathing with full awareness once again. And we do that over and over and over again. And mindfulness just means we return. We return to the present moment with kindness and non-judgment to this present moment. Thank you for your practice.
Thank you, Lacey.
It is absolutely my honor.
Beautiful. Thank you all for watching. Let us know if you have any comments or questions, and come and join us live next Tuesday, approximately the same time.
Love to see you. And if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, this is a growing community and you're a part of it. And we want to hear from you. And yeah, we send so much love and peace and non-judgment into your lives. And we will be contemplating over the course of the next week the second mindful foundation attitude, which is patience.
Fantastic. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye, Lacey.
Bye, Hannah. Thank you.